Welcome to Wise Take DFS Podcast for NFL Week 7. I am your host, Patio Joe. You can follow me on Twitter at Patio Joe Ref. And I am joined today by three guests. That's right, we got three guests today. Obviously, two of them we've seen before. It is Paulie D. You can follow him at Twitter at Paulie8Ds. We have Mr. Slim Gady at the real Slim Gady. His first name is Jason. And we are joined here today by a very special guest. We know him as Matty Ice. You can follow him at Twitter at Matt J. Schreiber. Say what's up, Matt.
What's going on?
And hey, Paulie and Jason, say hello too. We don't forget
What's
about you
up?
Yo, what up?
What up? What up? It seems like, yeah, already people are talking in the chat right now. Wind blowing out, Baez hit a bomb. Sorry, Joe. Hey, it's 2-0. That's more runs than they've scored in like 2 runs. You know, I love it. You gotta love these Cubs players right now. Like, look, like last night, Baez get tags out Puig and he rubs his fingers in his hair. Like, you're down 6-1, going down 3-0, and you're still talking. Like, you just hit a home run and you're looking at, like, dude, win a game. Like, last year's over. Sorry, bro. You know,
Did you
like,
see Contreras stand and watch that home run?
It's like
It's fucking 3-0, man.
Yeah. Whatever. Win a game. Yeah. But that'd still be going on. So if you guys see my head turn and look this way, it's just because I'm looking at the TV. So hi, Cam. Cam says hi. I mean, we have a little bit of a bromance. It's okay. And just to let you know, guys, we will have another edition of After Hours with Audie with Cam as my guest again. But anyways, guys, we are here for we're going to talk a little bit of football. We have 4 games picked out for you. We're going to talk about it. And then if you guys have any questions, of course, we'll answer any questions. But this is pretty much like a first look, just kind of a preview. We picked out a couple games. We're going to pick out a couple plays that we may like. And obviously, we want you to come back, read our articles. Mine comes out Friday or Saturday. Paulie's comes out probably about 30 seconds before lock. No. Paulie's comes out about, a few hours, but Sunday at some point. And then CK's got an article and Josh's got an article that comes out on Saturdays. Gady is the first article that comes out, kind of like the narrative street. And obviously,
awesome article.
Doogie obviously comes out with some articles, like a kind of a preview article in the beginning of the week, and then he is just so excited, so amped that he has so much time on his hand that he just writes up another article because he's just so excited. It's so great. The energy. He's like a 2.5-year-old. You know, my 2.5-year-old's like energy, like he never goes to sleep. Like that's what Cam is. Like he's so energetic. It's great. I mean, I guess Adderall just was really, really big. Like after I went to college, I don't know. Guys, tell me about that.
I don't know anything about it.
Anyways, let's get into this. Let's get into this games. The first game we're going to talk about is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. For me, first off, I'll probably just say, I'm looking at Tyrod Taylor as a strong cash QB consideration this week, especially on DK. His price is really cheap. FanDuel is only $7K. I feel like he provides a great floor in a game where, we saw what Carson Palmer did last week against this same Tampa defense. Probably we're going to have at least a hampered Jameis Winston. Might not even be playing, so that means we get narrative street with Ryan Fitzpatrick coming back to Buffalo. So I think that this game, Buffalo should win the game. I'm looking at their defense as an option, especially if Winston is out. And I'm also looking at some of these McCoy as well as Tyrod and maybe a little Jordan Matthews. I've heard that there's some talk about Jordan Matthews. And, of course, Paul, you're going to tell us about this tight end that you love. So I'll throw it to you, Paul. Tell me about this game.
I'm with you on Tyrod and McCoy. I like stacking them together with Buffalo's depleted receiver core. My man McCoy's been getting a lot of work in the pass game. And I think, the Tampa Bay run defense is so-so. They're more of like a pass funnel, but, I think McCoy could finally get loose in this game. So I like stacking the two of them and then bringing it back with Nick O'Leary, the replacement for Charles Clay. He's the bare minimum, 4.5K. Florida State grad. He was pretty awesome out there. He's got good hands. He came in and did well in replacement of Charles Clay last game. He's also Jack Nicklaus's grandson, so he's got some athleticism in his blood. And really like those three. And then I'd bring it back with either Cameron Brate or Mike Evans, little game stack, bringing it back because you kind of want Tampa Bay to keep it close if you're going to play all those guys from Buffalo. But Taylor, LaShawn, and O'Leary is a really nice way to start a core because you still have a ton of money for some other studs later on. But on the Tampa side, really the only guy is going to be Mike Evans for me. And maybe a little bit of Brate, but I like O'Leary a lot better at the minimum price. So it's really just Mike Evans on the Tampa side.
Cool. All right, Maddie, what do you got?
Yeah, for me, it's Shady. Shady's my main play here. The only thing that has me kind of off Tyrod is just the lack of weapons, especially with play out. But I do think O'Leary is definitely a viable play, especially at the minimum on FanDuel. And I could take a look at Jordan Matthews too, but just look at what Peterson did to them last week. You can run on them. They've had a pretty rough start to the year just with the hurricane, and they won't have a bye week, and they haven't really had too much action at home. So, Buffalo's coming off the bye week. Shady hasn't gotten it going yet. I just think this is the perfect spot for LaShawn McCoy to really break out. So that's where most of my interest is. On the other side, you saw A.J. Green torch Tre'Davious White. So, there's no reason why it doesn't matter who's under center, why Mike Evans can't do the same. So I'm definitely interested in him. But really, that's it with this game for me.
All right. Jason, what do you got?
Yeah, man, I like Taylor a lot on DK, man. At 5,100, that's going to be tough not to play him in cash games. I don't really care for him much at all generally, but at that price with this matchup, you got to look at it. Shady obviously looks like a great play. I do have a lot of interest in Jordan Matthews. I think that's more of a tournament play for me, though. Other side, I think I like the reverse narrative if Fitzpatrick plays that Buffalo's just going to dominate him. I don't know why, but I just love it, man. If Fitz
reverse narrative, I love that.
Yeah, if Fitz is out there, dude, lock me up with the Buffalo defense. And these guys are pretty good. They started off really hot. So I don't love Tampa regardless of who's playing QB, but I love the reverse narrative. Give me all of that. But yeah, Evans is the play for sure on the other side. I don't have any interest at all in anybody else there. I do like the tight end call out, though, for Buffalo, especially at that price, man. So probably – well, I say I like all this stuff. I still probably won't play too many of these guys, not in cash. But I know. I guess that's how it works. We either like everybody or we hate everybody, and then we don't play any of them. So I'll start out with that.
Yeah. I think Tyrod in cash, I think in both sides, he's a great floor. What I like most about him is that he's got that floor of maybe 50 or 60 rushing yards. And, even if, he can only throws, 2 touchdowns, if he gets about 60 rushing yards, that's another touchdown right there on top of maybe 250 or whatever he throws. This is a bad secondary. We know that we can pick on him. I think in cash, I think you can run out Tyrod naked. And then in a GPP, Tyrod and McCoy is a great way to go to start with. Because it'll make you afford some other guys because there's some great value. Because I think this slate in general is at least if you take on DK, if you take out the 2 main games, it's like this is where the real DFS players come. You're really gonna find there's not obvious plays. I think it's a sort of I was talking. There's like maybe a little stars and scrubs kind of approach this week.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. And I like what Gady said. If it's Fitzpatrick, then I'm probably going to come off of Tyrod and go with the McCoy Buffalo defense correlation stack, because I could see Buffalo winning by a lot and Tyrod not having to do that much, and then a ton of running for McCoy in the fourth quarter.
Good. All right. Let's move on to the next game. I think that game is a decent game too. I think it could also, with Winston in the game, could shoot out too. So especially with Evans and stuff like that. You guys put me on Evans. Believe it or not, I wasn't really looking at him. I don't know why. I was just thinking, the Buffalo defense and the quarterbacking, it's just not going to work. But you're right, Matt. Evans would probably be. You could almost play him alone and he'd be okay. So let's move on to the next game we got here. It is the New Orleans Saints and that vaunted defense traveling to Green Bay to take on Brett Hundley, UCLA's own Brett Hundley, and the Green Bay Packers. I think that this game, the question points are Breeze on the road. Do you want him? I think it makes him just a GPP play. I think Alvin Kamara might be a little bit more involved this game if you think that it's more points are going to be scored. And I think the big talking point is Brett Hundley at his point at his price. Are you going to want to pay that? He's kind of like the Chris Hogan or the Kevin Hogan of last week. I don't see why he can't do anything what Kevin Hogan did last week. I think he can do better. He's surrounded by better talent. So talk to me about those talking points, Paulie, and anything else you got.
I think Hundley is fine. I think he's going to do well. He was a talent coming out of college, and he's been learning from Aaron Rodgers, and he's got a ton of weapons on this offense. I don't think he'll do a ton unless they have to, unless they fall behind. They're fighting to come back. But I think this is a Ty Montgomery spot for sure. He's going to get a ton of carries, and then he's going to be involved in the short pass game. And I think, the Packers aren't going to, unleash Hundley to throw 40 times unless he has to. So for the Packers, it's really Ty Montgomery for me. And on the Saints side, I think you got to be interested in both those running backs. Ingram, more on FanDuel. Kamara, more for DraftKings. And I definitely like Mike Thomas this week as well, the receiver for the Saints. There's no D-backs on the Packers I really respect. And, he's going to get a ton of targets this week. So I like that. I like that spot a lot for Thomas.
Nice. Maddie?
Yeah, the only thing that kind of has me off Montgomery is you got a bunch of beat writers in Wisconsin that are calling for Aaron Jones to retake that backfield. And you got to expect with Rodgers out, they'll probably take a more run-heavy approach. But I'm with you guys. I like Hundley. 5,100. He's definitely better. I know Hogan was 46 last week, but I think Hundley's the superior athlete, and it never hurts to play 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers. Last week obviously they didn't have a game plan that was set for him because you don't prepare for Aaron Rodgers getting hurt. This week they'll definitely have something dialed up for him to take advantage of his strengths, and I think the Green Bay offense is in play. I'm tough. I'm undecided between the two running backs. I think, Jordy's a little bit too expensive. Devontae could be a little bit too expensive, but, they're both contrarian, decent plays this week. I love Michael Thomas on the other side. He had an awful game last week. The Saints put up 52 points last week, and Michael Thomas had 13 points. I don't think that happens this week. I agree with you guys. Green Bay doesn't have anyone in their secondary that really scares me at all. The weird thing about the Saints this year is it's almost like the old Saints where you never really knew who the production was going to come from, like when they used to have Lance Moore on their team. Now it's kind of starting to feel that way again. They have so many different weapons that they can use, especially now that they have Kamara, who is kind of like the Darren Sproles role that he used to fill on that team. It's tough to see where that production is going to come from, but the matchup is amazing for Thomas. So I don't usually like playing Breeze on the road. I think the Packers in general will be more fired up than they usually are this week, just because of how emotional last week was for them. But I think you could pair Breeze with Thomas. I think you could play Hundley. Hundley's the same price as Tyrod. So yeah, that's it for me.
Nice. Gatey?
Yeah, I'm not as high on Hundley as you guys are. I think really the Packers offense, I think there's a lot here for. I don't know if we can trust any of them. I think the snap count for Monty and Jones last week was about even. I think maybe Jones had a few more snaps. So that worries me there. I'm not really sure where I would go with that. I don't know. Hundley just wasn't all that impressive to me last week. I think he'll be okay, especially against this defense. I mean, this is a lot different than playing Minnesota. All tournament plays for me, though. I'd rather just play Tyrod at that same price. Other side, New Orleans, I like Breeze, but I don't see myself playing him. I don't ever play Breeze on the road. That's just a rule, and there's a reason that we stick to that rule. I love both running backs, but it sucks because they're priced way up now. It's not like it was last week on DraftKings where you could easily play them both, because I could see you doing that again. So you got to pick one or the other this time. Yeah, I'm with you guys 100% on Michael Thomas, though. Cash game play for sure for me. All sites, man. Sign me up there. I think the Saints are going to have to do a lot on offense, though. I could see them getting behind just because they don't play that well on the road, and they're not going to get whatever the hell it was, 3 defensive touchdowns like they got last week. So they're going to have to put up some points with the offense, and I think they can do it. Yeah, I'm sticking to the running backs and Michael Thomas probably for me.
Yeah, I think that this game could be a little bit better than people think. I think, like you said, they're going to draw up a package for Hundley. It's funny. It's Brett Hundley. Another Brett is starting at quarterback for the Packers. No pressure. Yeah, I think that this game is going to be interesting. Mike Thomas. Problem is like he's been chalked before, and he hasn't produced that much this year. So he's kind of in the Julio Jones range, where it's like I don't know if he's really cash game trustworthy, even though the matchup might be great. Like I'm not. Thing is that I think that's the overall tone for the NFL this year is that there really hasn't been too many trustworthy people. So, I think that Thomas is an option that I'm going to look into more, and I think that Kamara is great. I don't think we should expect Mark Ingram. Everybody's on Mark Ingram's jock. Like, if anybody watched that game, the fucking, like, the game script was all about, like, just running that game out. All they wanted to do was get out of Dodge, and they couldn't. That was, like, the longest game ever. So the game script was, like, perfect for Ingram, and Kamara still had 10 carries for 75 yards. So, I don't know. I'm more of a Kamara mark, and I think eventually he will get at least half the production. So, anything else? Anybody else want to say anything about this game?
Yeah, I like your take on Ingram though. That's a good call. I don't know, the price way up this week. People will still be on him, but I think that's a good take by you, Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably too chalky for it to go there this week.
It's too much. There's other running backs that are in just as good a spot that I'd rather have. And once again, I'll tell you what, going back to last week, you would think that a guy like Coby Fleener would be in a great matchup. The week before, the tight end Ed Dixon had the career game of his life, and Fleener puts up a 0.
Mm-hmm. Like some of that's maybe game script though too.
Is he just not good? What's his deal?
He doesn't put in effort. He's like Jay Cutler. Like he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, that game though. I mean, honestly,
yeah.
We'll all hear. We all will tell you that 52 points and Drew Brees only gets 16. That was just a weird game. So, that being said, let's move on to the third game of this slate, and it's a game that is a grudge match. Obviously, the two teams do not like each other. We have Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, traveling to Pittsburgh to take on Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Juju Smith-Schuster, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think, personally, this game could go either way. It could be a shootout, or it could be one of those 12-9 games. The last game they shut down AJ Green, but the 3 games before that, AJ Green totally torched them. And so it makes him more of a GPP play for me. And Antonio Brown, if you look at his last 4 games against these Bengals, has not been very well. So once again, that makes him more of a GPP play for me. Le'Veon Bell, I could see him running the ball like they do. I seriously, I hope that they learned from their mistakes for the second time, that just give the ball to Bell and look what happens. I mean, he was just awesome last week. So you want to lock him into your cash games. I love him. Even at his price, it's just he's in that part where he's in mid-season form. And then, on the other side for the Bengals, AJ Green for GPPs, I wouldn't even suggest Tyler Kroft because they shut down Kelsey last week. So unless you want to throw out maybe a Joe Mixon on DK, maybe with some garbage time, maybe a little bit of production, but I don't see anything in there. Paulie, what do you think?
Real quick, I'm just pulling up the line to see which way it's been moving. But I got to check the weather too. We're getting into almost the end of October, the stuff that can play into games. But we got a 41 over-under. It opened at 42. It's come down. Steelers opened at -6, down to -5. I think this is going to be similar to that Steelers-Kansas City game in that it's going to be lower scoring. I was really impressed with the Pittsburgh defense, the first team to shut down Kansas City this year at home. And the Bengals defense is no slouch either. So, we've mentioned that some of the superstars have struggled against these teams. Yeah, I think AJ Green is fine, because there's no one else for the Bengals to throw to. And I don't mind Lev Bell, but I don't think Lev has a massive ceiling here. I'm really not too interested in much in this game. If anything, maybe Joe Mixon at 5.6 on FanDuel. You can run on the Steelers, and I think there's just not a ton of options. He may get more involved in the pass game. They're coming off of a bye, so I think Joe Mixon would probably be my most interesting guy, and then I don't mind AJ Green, but there's just other spots on the slate I think I'm going to end up going. Maybe one of these two defenses as well, but probably not Cincinnati's, maybe Pittsburgh's. But really, I don't have too much interest here.
Yeah. All right, Maddie.
Historically, these games, at least the last 12 or so, I think there's only been 2 of them that went over 50. Obviously, you don't need that many points for Brown or Bell to pay off, but they're just so expensive. It's hard to justify it. And then AJ Green, the Pittsburgh defense has been pretty good this year against the pass.
Yeah, so also against the pass.
I think I'm staying away altogether. I mean, it could change at the end of the week, but as of right now, I'm completely off this game. They're just the top guys are just way too expensive. I have no idea what's going on with that whole Martavis Bryant thing that's going on. I don't understand any of that. And then I guess you could take your take on Joe Mixon, but aside from that, I think maybe Pittsburgh defense. That's about it for me though.
Mm-hmm. Gady?
Man, I got a ton on this game.
All right, give it to us. We're gonna sit back.
Shit, I got nothing, dude. Are you kidding me? I don't want any of these dudes. Come on. I'm just kidding. I'll say something though. I do have some interest in Big Ben on FanDuel, man. Just because he's priced with Bortles, that's disrespectful.
It is.
But it's a disrespectful price. So I'd give him a little bit of love. I do like Pittsburgh defense a lot, actually. I can see myself putting them in some lines. They're a pretty good price on FanDuel. So Yeah, other than that, I really don't have any interest, and I'm okay moving on.
I mean, it's pretty disrespectful, but Ben's been
He's been terrible
Bortles this year, to be honest. I mean, fighting Bortles, but Ben's been awful. I don't understand what's going on with him.
I couldn't even find him. I was looking for him on FanDuel. Like, where the hell is he? Oh, he's below Bortles.
One thing I will say, since Bill Lazor took over the offense for Cincinnati, Andy Dalton has been a QB1 the first 2 weeks, and he's on a bye week, so they're playing a little bit more up-tempo. So I'm not saying that's a great play, but it might be a little bit maybe the Bengals are going to come to play on Sunday. That's all I'm trying to say. But that leads us to our last game, which is probably the game of like all goodness. Everybody wishes it was on DK except for Paulie, which I understand. But it is Matt Ryan, the other Matty Ice, no relation.
Right, the other
Matty Ice, and the Atlanta Falcons is traveling to New England to take on Tom Brady and the New England Patriots.
Yeah, so the Patriots have set a record for 6 consecutive weeks of a quarterback throwing for 300 yards on them. It's never been done before. And I think Matt Ryan will continue that trend. I expect this game to be really high scoring. I think, you could definitely game stack here. I'd go with the Atlanta side. They got to be pissed from losing that Super Bowl. So I think like Matt Ryan, Devontae Freeman, or Tevin Coleman. I really love Tevin Coleman. Like, if I was him, I'd ask to get traded. I think he could start on 25 other teams right now. Like, it's a shame that he's behind Freeman.
Yes, completely agree with you.
Especially on DraftKings where he'll get more pass game. Like, I really like Coleman over there. I think Julio Jones is going to have a monster game here. Love Julio in this spot. And for the New England side, I don't think I'd go with Brady. I don't think I'd go with any of the running backs, although maybe like a Deion Lewis or James White, more so on DK. And then I think the Patriots receivers here, Cooks, bounce back spot for Hogan if he's healthy and playing. He was limited in practice today. And you got to love Gronk. He could add more in that last game, but I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. I think Brady will do fine. I just think it's too expensive, and Matty Ice at a discount will do similar. So any of the New England receivers and basically all of the Saints, the Falcons offense is in play for me.
Okay, Matty.
I can't figure out what's going on with Matty Ice. His highest scoring game on FanDuel this year is 17.94. That was in week 1. And it wouldn't have even been that high if Austin Hooper didn't get literally the most wide open I've ever seen on that busted coverage. It was it
was crazy.
I can't figure out what they're doing on offense.
Running. They're running. They're not moving fast.
Running. But it's just it's unacceptable that it's about to be week 7 and I have as many touchdown catches as Julio does this year.
True. You do.
What New England does. They try and shut down the best weapon. It didn't really work in the Super Bowl. Julio had a pretty good game, but it also hasn't been working for New England this year because they've had the worst pass defense in the league. Part of it is they have no pass rush. And the other part of it is they just can't cover anyone. So I think this is obviously a really good spot for Atlanta to get back on track. The one thing that's weird is the other side of the ball. I'm not sure how close you guys paid attention to that Patriots-Jets game last week, but Brady did not look like himself. I know he was hurt going into the game, and I still had interest in him because you know how the Patriots are. They'll say anyone's hurt just kind of gamesmanship. And Brady didn't really look very good. He just didn't look like himself at all. Atlanta's defense hasn't been good. Obviously, they're not good against running back. So somebody like James White is definitely in play for me. As long as Hogan's healthy, he's in play for me just because of the recency bias of last week. he didn't really have a good game, but it's just because he hurt his ribs early on. I think more people will tilt towards Cooks, especially since, I mean, this is only on FanDuel, so.
Touchdowns.
Gronk, it's obviously a strong play. He didn't even play in that Super Bowl game. But I like Coleman more than I do like Freeman this week, just because he's better in the pass game. And I'm committed to him. I'm so pot committed to him already this year that he just needs to do something to at least help me get back to even on what I've invested in him. So I think you could play Ryan. I think you could play Julio, Coleman, even Freeman. That's the extent of that offense that I'll look into. And then on the other side, it's tough to predict, but my favorites are Brady, Hogan, and White and Gronk. And I should mention Amendola, especially on DK, just because Atlanta can really be attacked in the middle of the field. That's where they're worst. I think they're 25th in DVOA over the middle. So, yeah, that's what I got for this game.
Okay. All right. Katie.
All right, man. Before I get into this, I got to find out if our Matty Ice has ever blown a 25-point lead in anything. I'm talking pickup hoops, freaking Madden. I just need to know, have you ever blown a 25-point lead? Obviously not in the Super Bowl, anything.
No, but I've definitely blown 25-point leads on DraftKings and on FanDuel.
There you go.
I did that tonight.
All right. I just had to know. Because I think I'd probably rather play you than Matt Ryan right now. I mean, this is what I wrote about in my article. Like, I just don't look at all the numbers. I'm going to play these guys, but who's done anything on this team all year? I mean, I like the running backs, but which one do I play? You know, I'm not sure.
Yeah, like it's hard to go Freeman when you expect them to be coming from behind.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you go? I mean, obviously this looks like Julio's blow-up game, right? He's going to get 2-3 touchdowns in this game. Well, I haven't seen it.
No.
We're almost halfway through the season. I haven't seen shit from these guys. So I like them, but they're all going to be tournament plays only for me. Other side of the ball, the Patriots, I mean, you can play Brady if you want to spend that much. This game would be better if it was on DraftKings. Then you could play White or Lewis or whoever. I like Cooks. I think he had almost as many targets as Gronk last week. So I like Cooks, obviously Gronk. Yeah, Hogan, that's probably a good call because there's going to be a lot of recency bias because he burned a lot of people, myself included, last week. So that's a good call. I think Atlanta's the highest total on the board. Are they not? Maybe New Orleans is ahead of them.
No, Patriots got to be, man.
Yeah, New England's the highest total.
Yeah. I would go that way, man. I'm not playing Atlanta. Get these guys out of here. Tournament only place. I haven't seen it. They're missing. Want to blame all that shit on the Super Bowl on Kyle Shanahan, and now they'd kill to get him back, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just get out of here with that.
You need drunk Sarkisian. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
Drunk Sarkisian calls Billy's better at SC. We saw that. Okay.
He's doing great.
He was
man.
drunk up in the booth when Carroll was the coach. So, I think this game is, this is like, oh wow, they've been circling this game, and probably, yet last week's game was, even though coming off of a bye, was like almost like a trap game for them.
Yeah.
They have the Dolphins coming in. They should totally roll these guys at home. Oh, we'll win. We're in the dome, whatever. And then they roll up an egg. They get up 17-0. They roll up an egg and they wind up losing. And now this is the game that they got. And both teams are coming in kind of limping a little bit. I mean, nobody thought that the Patriots would be where they are right now. So I'm looking at it maybe possibly fading both quarterbacks and doing a stack with, like, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. I'm just throwing, we're just spitballing here, like Tevin Coleman and Julio with Brandon Cooks and Gronk. with another quarterback going naked or something like that. I'm just spitballing here, but I think, like I said, I agree with you, Gady. When it comes to cash game plays, I said Julio is not a cash game receiver right now until he proves it. And if I get burned, we weren't burned last week again, were we? Nope. And he was 20% in my cash games. Shouldn't have been.
He was 30%
so, and he'll be
tournaments, man.
Yeah, well, in tournaments I can understand, but in cash games, he has not done anything to prove. I mean, if we learn anything in cash games, it's supposed to be safe. And Julio has been nothing at all. The last thing he's been is safe this year. So, I look at it as, Julio's a good play. I think Austin Hooper might be a decent play. All those quarterbacks are decent plays. And obviously, those receivers, I wish I knew who was going to get the production because then it'd be better. But, yeah, I think when it comes to this game is more of a tournament game stack and not as much cash. But though, am I right, Jason? People are going to have a ton of this in cash. You're gonna put it out there. You might be fine, like we said in the beginning. We might be fine on FanDuel. We cashing, and then the Sunday night game comes because we went somewhere else because of what we think that there really isn't anybody that safe except for Brady. If you wanted to pay up for Brady, we could do that. And you could play Ryan naked if you wanted to. And I think 300 yards, if that's what you want, 300 yards, a couple touchdowns. So. I don't know. What do you think about that, Jay?
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I just, we're talking FanDuel only here. Julio at 8,800. I mean, what's he going to be in cash? Are people will probably play him even at 8,800 with no touchdowns on the year.
The thing is that you got to look at it. Okay, so who else are you going to play as your top receiver in cash if you did? Antonio Brown doesn't have a great matchup against the Bengals. A.J. Green doesn't have a Pittsburgh or something like Dez. I mean, we'll talk about Dez and then Mike Evans. I mean, what do you think, Matty? What do you think would be if you were playing cash on Sunday, your top end, high end receiver? Are you going with Julio or are you going with somebody like Dez or Evans or Cooks?
I'm definitely not going with Julio. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I'd prefer Dez over him. I think I'd lean more towards putting in like Fitzgerald as like my most expensive receiver, and then just pay up at running back as high as I can go.
Uh-huh.
I want to do more research on O'Leary though. I need to look into him more because at 4,500, if you could just throw him in there and be confident about it, that'll let you pay up at running back. Obviously, if I don't understand how this Elliott suspension thing works, but it seems like they can go through 800 different courts and judges, and this one's on vacation, and this one's doing whatever the hell he's doing. I wish he wasn't playing. Then I mean, Dez wouldn't be a no-brainer, right? Against
Matty, in the game that O'Leary came in for Clay, and that was about the second quarter, I believe, he had 6 targets, 5 catches, 54 yards, and he was like an offensive threat at Florida State. I remember it. Like,
he was a monster. He was on that Jameis.
I think he's firmly in play.
Yeah, he was on that team with Winston and Devontae Freeman and Benjamin. But it's if you're gonna tell me he's gonna get like 6 to 8 targets, wouldn't you play him in cash?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, for sure. At that. Because he could get 15 real easily. I mean, that's if you're looking for 3x or even 2.5x.
How much is he on K?
He's probably 3K.
He's got to be 3K. Yeah, I'll check, but he's got to be 3K.
Pull him up.
Yeah, I mean, like that's where Tyrod was throwing to the tight end, and he gets a guy that's probably pretty similar in athleticism to Charles Clay. Like, I just think it's going to continue. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
If we got 6 targets in half of a game, then
31.
31, yeah. That's a good play over there too.
Wisco brought up a good point. Paulie, you like fading high owned people and you like fading things. Would you fade this game completely? Or even just at the Atlanta side?
I don't think you should, honestly. Like, if you want to fade this game, play on DK. Okay. It's just like by far the highest over-under. We haven't seen New England stop anything this year. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, like maybe you could fade some of New England skill players, like say they get up and then they kind of run a lot. But I mean, I'm assuming that if the Falcons get up, the game could go way off. If the Patriots get up, Falcons should be playing catch up, and that's Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, and even some of the cheaper receivers should be fine here. But with a 56 over under and climbing, and I think the next highest is like 47.5. It's just such like a gap. I don't think you should fade this game. And yeah, like game theory, contrarian fading the chalk, but not this one. You know what I mean? Like if you want to fade this game, just go to DraftKings.
Yeah, I think you got to have at least a little shares of it. I mean, the problem is that for cash, where are you going to go? To me, I feel like the safest would be Brady. What do you think, Brady? Yeah. So, any other questions, guys, in the chat? Anything else we want to talk about? We got through these games a little bit quick. Like, I think this is a week where, like I said in the beginning, I just don't think that there's like much. There's not really like so many attractive games, especially when the Monday night game is really attractive. I know maybe why don't we have a few extra minutes? Why don't we talk about tomorrow's game a little bit? If you're playing tomorrow's game or whatever. Obviously, it's Wednesday night. We got the Kansas City Chiefs on a short week traveling to the cesspool that is the Bay Area. We like to call the Oakland Raiders. Are you guys having any shares of this game? And if so, who do you like? Personally, Kareem Hunt is going to get a big workload with Charkandrick West being out. And we got Akeem Hunt. It's just kind of like a fill-in. And we got C.J. Spiller. They signed, but I can't see him getting but a few touches. I think that they're going to – Alex Smith is a decent play. I don't love his ceiling. I like his decent floor. I think you can fade this game on Thursday night slates, Thursday to Sundays, and not worry about it. I don't see anybody on the Raiders that really you have to have. If you want to get contrarian and go with an Amari Cooper, you can. That's your funeral. Go for it. But I don't really see the need. I see the Chiefs going and winning this game, and the Raiders just keep on floundering. Paulie, what do you think?
I like playing Thursday slates. I think that's like the biggest edge in NFL DFS because the ownership is so high on those games. But this is one I'm not going to have much exposure to because I think this is one of the better games on the whole weekend. Big time shootout potential here, and I can't fade it if I play that slate. So I'm not going to have too much. I think Hunt and Kelsey are in great spots here. And then I really like the Raiders pass game. Carr and Crabtree and Amari Cooper. I think this game's going to shoot out like 35-31, lots of scoring. Both these teams kind of need to win. Kansas City a little less, but after losing their first game, I'm sure they're going to look to bounce back. I think this game really shoots out. So I if I'm playing Thursday, I would have a lot of ownership here at GameStack, but I don't like doing that. So I won't.
All right, Maddie, you got anything in this game?
When I play the Thursday slate, I'll make like 6 lineups and I'll enter them into a bunch of different contests. I won't usually mass multi-enter on Thursday nights, but I'll usually do 3 lineups with some exposure. Unless I hate the game, then I'll just do 6 lineups with no exposure whatsoever to the game. But this one, I agree, it's a lot tougher to fade it. The thing that I have so much trouble with this year is I can't understand why this Raiders offense is so bad. Specifically Amari Cooper. I mean, I don't think anyone fell off the face of the planet more than he did this year. So it's tough to project that. I keep on trying to chase him. Just thinking like last week he was 5K on DraftKings and he had like 28 yards receiving. It's frustrating. But the Chiefs side of the ball, I think you can definitely use Kelsey and you can use Kareem Hunt because they're both going to be heavily involved. And the Raiders' defense is terrible. I think they got Navarro Bowman, but how much does he have left in the tank? So I don't know. It's a tough game to fade. I think the Raiders are going to win this game somehow. I don't see them losing 5 in a row. There was just too much hype on that team. I think somehow, some way, even though this team is deflated, they're going to figure out some way to come away with a win in this game. And if they're going to win it, it's going to be through the air. So obviously, I like Crabtree a lot more than I like Cooper, but I got to figure at some point Cooper is going to have one of those games where he goes for like 170 yards, and if he's not lining up against Peters, he can do it because those other two guys, Mitchell and Gaines in the slot, they're both beatable. So I think this game has like crazy shootout potential. It just sucks that it's on Thursday because everybody is going to be playing everyone in that game if you play that slate.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Slates because everybody stacks this game, and usually the game's terrible. And this one's scary. So, I mean, you're going to have people out there playing Alex Smith with Hunt, with Hill, with Kelsey. They'll go Raiders side, they'll go full game stack. And if you don't get any of it, you fade it and it goes 35-31, you're way behind. So, I mean, I think if you're playing it, you got to have some exposure here. I think you have to play Hunt, in my opinion, with West out. I mean, that's the only thing that's held Hunt back this far is West vulturing touchdowns from him. So that other Hunt, that's who's the backup, I don't see that guy carrying the ball at all. Like one carry maybe at most. I think it's going to be a big game for Hunt. They're just going to feed him and go to Kelsey a lot. Man, I love Crabtree on the other side. I think Cooper is just dead, man. Dead man walking. I think Carr knows he can't play, and he's not even looking his way. So I'll never have any exposure to that dude again. But, yeah, it's scary. So definitely Hunt for sure. Maybe some Crabtree. I don't know. It's tough. Because a lot of inexperienced players play on the Thursday slates, and they stack the damn game no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Silence.
For me, what I'll say is the Raiders didn't look great last week against the Chargers, and they're coming off of a short week. Carr's back you could tell he wasn't healthy. I don't see the shootout potential that you guys see. I see, if anything, Kansas City maybe blowing them out. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I don't see. I have not seen that firepower in the Raiders' offense this entire year, and now you're telling me Carr off of a short week. I think that the Kansas City defense is going to pin their ears back and try and rush him and just try and get to him. And on the same aspect, I think that the Chiefs never really blow out anybody. Most of the time, as it is, they just don't have that type of offense unless they break some quick plays, if Tyreek Hill breaks one or whatever. So I think it's going to be relatively close tomorrow, and that's why I'm okay with fading the game if you're playing. But, obviously I'm just one opinion. We have some other differing opinions, so that's why it's something for everybody, and you kind of see where we're at. But and then real quick, guys, since we have about another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to get out of here. Let's talk about the Monday night game really quick. You got Kirk Cousins of the Skins going into Philly playing Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles. So just really, really quick here, even quicker than the last time. What do you think, Paulie? I think it's just going to be an entertaining game where I think this might be Wentz's coming out party for the MVP race. What do you think, Paulie?
I think we see a shootout there, too. I like both quarterbacks. Redskins' offense is really healthy. I think it's hard to play like a specific Redskins pass catcher because they got so many right now.
Yep.
With being healthy. Chris Thompson would be interesting in the pass game. And on the Eagles side, Carson Wentz is a stud, man. So, the Redskins D's been good, but with the corner Norman out, I think you can play Alshon Jeffrey. This could be his coming out party. And just like both past games, I think you'll see another high-scoring game there, like an NFC East rivalry shootout.
All right, Maddie?
Yeah, I mean, what stands out the most to me is just how bad they are over the middle. So I read something the other day. Aguilar is like the number 1 rated receiver in the league when he's targeted this year.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a pretty good game against them last time.
Yeah.
Wentz was firing at him all game. And then the same thing with Ertz. I think you could stack all 3 of them together. And then there was a couple plays in that game. I mean, if you want to chase Torrey Smith, he burned him. Just missed them on the balls connected, and he pays off. So obviously consider him. And then Jeffrey, and then the other side, Cousins and Pryor had it going too. Pryor just dropped a couple touchdowns that game, but Pryor's huge and athletic, and I think he could beat that defense, beat those safeties. I mean those corners. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Cool. Yeah, I think that the guy maybe in tournaments, if you want to pair with Cousins, that might win you a tournament is Josh Doxson. He is being more and more involved in that offense. And if you remember the Monday night game in Kansas City, he dropped a game-winning touchdown pass in the end zone in his hands. Another home run by the Cubs. Baez has hit 2. All right. Well. Anyways, so yeah, I like this game. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think that Kirk Cousins, you can play him naked, like we said, and I think you can play Wentz. Ertz is going to tear up the Skins defense. They cannot cover the tight end. So if you're playing that game, you could play. Ertz is probably the best bet as a one-off, or you obviously play the quarterbacks. I like them too. So, anyways, guys, Maddie, that was a lot of fun.
I agree.
Tonight, yeah, it was a good time, guys. We got through it, and it was good. Sitting here. Hopefully, the Dodgers will pull this out. If not, we'll win it at Game 5. Kershaw's going. So. Jason, Paulie, you guys got anything else to say?
No, man. Catch us on the wide stream Saturday for football, and NBA's been on fire so far. So get with us for NBA because there's a lot of money to be made right now. Early in the season, a lot of price discrepancies, and the nation's been on fire. So get with the nation.
Yeah, I'm at 338 points right now, Paulie.
Wow.
Anyways, and then Jason, what do you got?
Nothing, man. Just exciting every day. Now we got NBA and NFL, dude. It's crazy. So find a way to spend a couple hours every day on this stuff. That's a big deal for me. My time fitted in. Yeah, man. I'm excited. It's getting heated up. Play Melo tomorrow against the Knicks.
Oh, good call.
Narrative, baby. Let's do it. Start the season that way.
Yeah. So, and Maddie, anything else for you?
Nope. I'm good. I'm just sweating out some NBA right now, so we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, got to wait through these 10 o'clock games, but I got a flight tomorrow, go out to LA, and I'm just hoping the Cubs win a couple just so I can go to a game at Dodger Stadium for the first time.
Nice. What you doing out in LA?
Go to a World Series game instead against the Yankees.
What's that?
Game 1's Tuesday night.
Dodgers Yankees.
That's a good point. Well, Tuesday. I'm leaving Tuesday. So.
Do you want to know right now on StubHub the cheapest ticket is $7.25?
Wow.
For Game 1.
How bad of a seat is that?
That's like really bad too. It's not very good. Trust me, I know where it is. And good thing is that I have some connections, and hopefully I'll at least be able to go to one of the games. So. But anyways, guys, be sure to check us out on the live stream on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will not be there. I'm going to be traveling once again. The warden has got me and the family traveling again. We're going to Phoenix, but either Friday night or Saturday night, depending on my young apprentice, Mr. Cam, but depending on how drunk he will be, we will be recording After Hours with Audie either Friday or Saturday. So be sure to look for that, as well as the Wise stream. We will definitely get you covered for Week 7 of the NFL. So for Matty Ice, for the real Slim Gady, and of course for the Big 8D, and of course the Crossroads back in the studio, I'm Patio Joe, and we are out.
Peace.
Yeah.